Next Village San Francisco is a local nonprofit providing services and support that empower seniors to live independently in their own homes. We welcome people who want to keep connected with their community as members, volunteers, and supporters. We host 30 to 40 free activities and events each month for the public, and our members have access to our network of volunteers. Learn more and get involved at nextvillagesf.org. We hope you enjoy this video.
Working off of a iPhone today, but I will show you both of the Google Calendar as well as the Apple Calendar. They pretty much function very similar, and they have a very similar interface, and they can be used across different apps. So, for example, I have my primary use on my iPhone is actually my Google Calendar because it's synced with my work calendar and things like that. So even though I am running an iPhone or on my iPad, it's an iPad, I can still use Google Calendar as well. So we'll just start with the Apple Calendar, and you can access this on the web through your iCloud account. So if you're signed into your iPad or iPhone, and you go up to settings and you can see your iCloud information. So you can use that to sign in on your desktop. And the app is very similar to what you will see here on the phone. Where we go? Here we go. All right. So I'm just going to close this and open it up from scratch. So when you open it up, it will always open up to the day that we currently are on. So today is Tuesday, March 7th. And you can see it starts there at 12 a.m. And then here we have the calendar for the day. So very easy to add events. There's two different ways you can do it. You can use the plus button at the top right, which is up kind of by the magnifying glass. You can do that and create a new event. Or if you're on a time slot, you can just tap and hold. So let's say I want to schedule something for 1 p.m. and I am actually in military time. Sorry if that's confusing. So 1 p.m. is 1300 hours. So if I go there and double click, then it's going to create a time block for one. Just go in and press and hold on a time block. I'm going to press and hold it 1 o'clock, and that'll just automatically create a new time block here for a new event. And very straightforward. So we can add a title. Let's say we're going to lunch. It actually looks in your email for keyword searches, right? So let's say in the past, here's what I have. So I have a team lunch this is from an old job. So it shows a team lunch, and it also found some lunch that I had with some friends and things like that. So it'll look through your email if you have that enabled, and it will recommend events based off keyword searches. So like, for example, when I type in tech teach-in, I see the emails that have been in the past from Next Village and Camille. So I can see that here, and I can just go ahead and click on that. It'll add the events from the Gmail or from the email. So it's pretty smart. So if she sends me a Zoom link for this event, and if I go ahead and click on that, then it'll understand and parse out that information from the email, and you can see it added automatically to Zoom link that was part of that email. So kind of ties your email and your calendar all together. But let's say that feature, we didn't want to do that. If we wanted to just do lunch here, I can add a location. So let's say I wanted to go to my favorite dim sum place, go to Yang Sing, and I can add that there, and it'll show up on my calendar. And then I can choose the different intervals, right? So it's starting at 1 to 2. This is a new feature where we can add travel time, and I'll show you that in a second what that looks like on the map. But basically, if you enable the travel time, you can set a starting location. So if you're coming from your house, it'll give you real-time updates from your house to this place will take X number of times. And then you can block off time. So let's say we're just going to do 15 minutes here. I'm going to say there's a 50-minute travel time. We can do a repeat. So if this is an event that occurs weekly, monthly, you can customize that in here as well. We could say the first Tuesday of every single month is tech teaching. Then I can go and schedule that according to this cadence. This highlights what calendar you would like to save these to. So I have a couple of calendars on my phone, some for work, some personal. So it's giving me the optional select on multiple calendars. I'm going to stick with the default, which you should stick with the default as well. This is a add invitees. So this is actually populating from the previous section here. I'm going to remove these all. That's just confusing. So let's say there was no one in there and you wanted to invite a friend. You can go in here and add an invite. And I can say, I'm going to invite Janet Crane. I'm going to hit done. And then when I send this off, it is also going to send her a calendar invite as well. So she can mark it on her calendar and I'll see what her response is. So let's say she accepts it, then it'll show up here as accepted or declined, or maybe RSVP basically. So that's in there. You can always just swipe from right to left. You can make them optional, or you can just remove them. You can also do this if you have multiple calendars or friends that have calendars published. You can do view availability. So let's say that Janet had her calendar made available. You can see in here, it'll show her calendar and I'll show the time blocks that she's available for this day. So I don't use this feature in Google, in Gmail and Apple Calendar. I use this in Gmail, and I'll show you that in a second. So that's adding invites, invitees, and viewing other schedules. And then we can set alerts. So I think this is probably the most important about calendars, is once you start stacking all of your events, you have lots of things going on. You want to make sure you don't miss anything. So you can do first and second alerts. So the first one, I can do a various combination. I can do before the travel, since I set a travel time, it's going to let me know when I need to leave. If I was to go in here and say no travel time, then I can just say the alert is whatever time period I want before the event starts. So then starting at 1 p.m. and I want to be reminded 15 minutes before, so I can do that. And then I want to be reminded at the time of the event, like that. And you can do these customized whenever you want. Usually if it's an event that I have that's recurring, bi-weekly or monthly, I usually do the first alert about 1 or 2 days before. Say, hey, I need to get ready for this event. And then I can do a second alert and say, great, so I'm going to get alerted 1 day before, and then my second alert is going to be 30 minutes before. And that will send me a notification in the app on your phone, a push notification on your phone. You can also do an email notification, but unfortunately you can only set that if you use the app in the web or on a Mac. So if anyone uses those apps, these will all sync across. So you have the same calendar across all your apps, but you can only set the email notification feature if you're using the desktop app. And it may work on an iPad, I'm not sure. But that's just one thing to call out. So this basically the most effective alert on the phone is these alerts here. It'll just send you a push notification, like you see a standard notification up there. And then you can add URLs. So like, let's say a Zoom link that you wanted, or notes here, like a meeting ID. I could say, it's your meeting ID. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is just part of that. So then when I go in there, I can see that it will show me the event, the time it starts. It'll give me a preview of my calendar around the day. So a couple hours in each direction. So I know, hey, I gotta leave lunch. I have a hard stop at 2 o'clock. I have to leave. So you can see the snapshot here. This will show you a summary of the alerts, which calendar it's saved to, the notes. And then if you set a destination or location in the event when you create it, it will show you it on a map as well. And if you have Google Maps or Apple Maps, if you click on that, I do not use Apple Maps, so it's not going to work. But basically, you just click into that and it would open the event. And then you can come in here and you edit anything you want. So the time changes to 2. You do that, you hit done. The other thing around the travel time is pretty cool. So I use this for if I'm going to be taking the bus or if I'm going somewhere far. So I can set my appointment here, and then I can say, I know it's going to take me 15 minutes to get from my house to my doctor's office, or 30 minutes. And then I can build in 30 minutes of travel time. So I know my appointment is not until 2:45, but I need to leave 30 minutes before. So leave at 2:20 or leave at, what is it, 2:15. So in here, when I can see it shows up as my travel time that's appended before. And so I can set reminders to say, hey, I need to be alert 30 minutes before my scheduled travel time. So then I'll get a note for that. Then I have my travel time, and then I have my event. So this is handy, especially if you take the bus or if you go somewhere sort of there, you need a bit of time to get to and from. And you don't want to just set the time, let's say you have lunch at 2, but you have to be there at 2. You want to set a travel time for whatever it's going to take you. That'll give you a better, accurate representation of how your time is being used. Things like that. Does anyone have any questions about the app?
Barbara had a comment at the beginning that said it doesn't always show the day if you have your calendar set to monthly, which is true. But if you do you want to show them how to change the views from monthly to week?
Yeah. So here I just have it set today, but you'll see at the top, if you click, you'll see the month is at the top left, so March. If I was to click on that, then it will show you the entire month of March, and you can go out even farther. It'll give you another option. If you hit back, it'll take you to the whole year. So then you can go back in and you can see the month, and then you could go and say, let's go to the 14th now. Then you can see that. And you can also view things in a list order. So let's say I wanted to look at today, and if I click this little list button, that's sort of the top right, that will show me everything in a list, stats according to time as opposed to on a calendar. And you can scroll through like that. And I also just remembered that Sunday is daylight savings time.
Yeah. Also, Harrison, do you want to talk about, or this is something that I do on my Google or on my Apple calendar, but I'm really bad at remembering birthdays. So I add birthdays as like an all day event. And I know you can add it to someone's like contact page as well, and it shows up in the calendar. But yeah, I have birthday set up, and then I have a reminder like a week before, and then I also have a reminder a day before because I do forget to buy presents for people. So another handy use.
Totally. Yeah, I actually haven't done, that's a good shout. I haven't done the contact do this. So you're saying if we go into contacts and we add a birthday here, let's just say it's today, it'll show up on the calendar.
Then I just discovered that last year. It's really helpful.
Yeah, it's super
Look at
handy.
that.
Yeah. And then if you
That's
change
cool.
the birthday and the contacts, it also change it in the app, obviously. But
Interesting. Cool. Yeah. So I guess if you add it to the person's contact, it will show up as an all-day event on your Apple calendar. That's awesome.
yeah, fun feature. But does anybody else have any questions? Or maybe we can move on to Google Calendar.
Oh,
Totally.
he was going to
Let's
show, you were going to show us how to make something like go in every week automatically. Like if you have something you want to see every Monday or something.
Oh,
Sure.
Yeah.
So we'll just pick this event, for example, and then when you go into edit it, you'll see the repeat option, and it defaults to never, but you can go into here.
Oh,
And you could pick from the pre-populated options, like every month, and it will default to the day of the month that you set it. Or you could go to custom, and you can do it weekly on a certain day. So you can do it weekly, Tuesday, Wednesday, or weekly, Saturday, Friday, Wednesday. So you can choose the schedule that you want through this repeat section. And then you can also end it as well. So you can end it after a number of occurrences or at a specific date. So let's say it's only going to be every week for a month. You can just do that here. And then after 1 week, it will, or after 1 month, it'll stop adding that to your calendar. Sound good?
Yeah, so that's if you have like a weekly walk with a volunteer, or if you meet every other week with a volunteer, you can really easily set up that reminder. It's also nice because I know like we'll be scheduling events for Next Village, and I'll be looking months in advance. And I'm like, oh, I don't have anything this Tuesday at 10 a.m. And then I realize like, oh no, we do have our walking group every Tuesday at 2, and we just haven't extended it out. So I always make sure to extend our events further into the future, so that if I'm planning, for something super far off, I'm reminded as like, oh, I do have that recurring weekly event. And Judy, you have a question?
Yes, I was wondering, how do you show something that starts at, say, an odd time, like 11:15 as opposed to 11 o'clock?
Yeah, so you can customize that. Just go back in. Oops, hold on, I lost my thing here. So you just do a regular event. You have the time and the date. These are all scroll wheels in 5-minute increments. So you could do 15 or 20 or something like that. You could choose that time out through there.
Okay, so
And you could,
yeah, so you
Yep.
can't just like push down on like a time slot and then edit it. You have to edit it in the part where you're showing us.
yeah, I mean, you can do it from, or let me go here. Let's say if you're in here and you wanted it, let me go back to today. At 1 o'clock, you can press and hold, and then it'll generate that, and then you can move like that.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Sure. And you can also change the time zone as well. So if you're working with someone in a different time zone or want to be mindful of that, you can change that here and just searches based off of.
I can't believe you use a 24-hour clock, like 13:55. That's so confusing to me.
Yeah, the company I work for is, we're headquartered in Sydney, so it's easier if I
Yeah.
use it in this format. Cool. If you have no more questions about the Apple calendar, I'll head over to the Google one. So I have this widget here. So this is my work calendar actually. And so I have this little shortcut here where like you could add it to a home screen, but I have it here, and then I can just see a quick reference of what's happening today. But you can also click on it and open it up. So like, let's say I click on that, and now I'll open my work calendar here. I have it set to default by month, but then I can go in and just click on the day that I'm interested in. And now I can see here, you can see that it looks very similar to kind of how the Apple Calendar is structured. So in here, let's say I wanted to create a new event. Same thing, you can go in and press and hold it, and then it'll generate this new event. And I can say lunch, and much of the similar interface in terms of like stop times. I can change the pattern that it repeats if I wanted to do that every single day or anything like that. You also have that fully customizable feature there. You can add people as well. You can also have the option here, because Google has a built-in web conferencing platform. I know most people use Zoom, at least in the setting, but in here you can add a Google Meet, which is included in a Google account. So if you wanted to do that, you could add a Google Meet like that. And then when you create the meeting, it will generate that link to join. You can also add the location, right? So We did lunch at Yangtsing yesterday. Tomorrow we're gonna go to Goss roadside. So that's there. It gives me the location. And then I can add some different things, default color. I think these are more geared towards kind of a work setting. Like if you want it private or busy, what that means is that if someone views your calendar, it shows it as a private event. So it won't show what the event is. It'll just show that that's a time blocked personal event. So again, that's if you make your calendar available to other people. You can change it. So if you have like something that you don't want to share publicly, you can change that. And then I just go ahead and save it. And now it adds that time into there. The downside about Apple or Google Calendar is that there's no sort of consideration for time travel or things like that. So you can't add that to an event automatically. So you'll see here, like this morning, I'm in the office. I time box an hour to get to the office because I can't add time to that. So I have to add a separate event. So in terms of how travel is handled, and if that's some feature you're interested in, then Apple Calendar is going to be the way to go for that because Google does not handle this well. Like I said, with the looking at other calendars, so if I come into here and I wanted to add my boss to my calendar, for example, I want to invite him to an event, I can do add people. My boss, and I can do view schedules, and now it will show me in a different color. So my calendar is in blue, my boss's calendar is in orange, and now I can see the gaps and then where we are, right? So if I'm looking for a time where we're both available, it overlays the calendar with someone else. This may not be super useful in a personal setting. It just depends on if other people are using your calendar. But this, for example, is my work calendar. So we can see everyone else's calendar for this reason. So it's handy if you have access to other people's calendar. But if not, then it might not be that useful. But now I can see here, if I want to book a time with my boss at 6 p.m., that time is available for both of us, like that. Do you have any questions about this?
Anybody want to go over anything again or have any specific questions that we maybe didn't address yet? Everything is crystal clear to everyone? Wow, Harrison, you're killing it.
And then very similar with the alerts here, right? A little bit less sophisticated in the sense that you only get one alert. So you don't have multiple like you do on the Apple. But then I can say my alert here and what sort of notification I want to do. Notification through email, or if I want it to be a push notification on my phone, it just pops up in the app. And it looks like this is a new feature. You can add another notification. So this is new. You can now add multiple notifications, which is awesome. You can add multiple actually. Oh shit. I don't know. So if there's an event that's very important to you and you do not want to miss it under any circumstances, you can add as many notifications as you want. That's a new feature. In Google, if this is interesting, I can cover it off. What I do, because this is my work calendar, is I can send a daily digest to myself. So what it does every morning or sometime in the middle of the night, it takes a snapshot of my calendar and it sends it to me in an email to my work email, and then I can see it shows a list view of all my events. So this kind of list view that you see here, it sends this in an email to me as a morning digest. It does it every weekday, so I can just take a quick look in the morning when I'm drinking my coffee, what I need to do and where I need to be. And that's just a feature that you can set inside of the Google Calendar. And then just changing the views, you can click on that button on the top right, or sorry, top left. And then you can see here, we're in March, or we can go to a week, 3-day day, or you can do like the tiered look schedule like that. Or we can say, we want to look at the week, and that'll default back to whatever you last left on here as well. The last thing I'll show about this calendar is you can do other things than just meetings. So for example, let me just go back to day. And if you do this plus button, this will open up all the actions, plus button at the bottom right. So I can add a reminder, I can add a task, I can set an out of office. Again, that might not be useful in a personal setting, but basically what out of office does is if people try to send you calendar invites, it will decline them or take an action that you set. So if I'm out of office next week, Monday, Tuesday, I set that on my calendar. Then when someone goes to book Monday, Tuesday, it's going to show I'm not available or decline the meeting. So there's that. You can set a working location. So you're in the office one day, you're at home one day, or you can do a reminder and tasks. So I use these pretty often. Like if I need a task here, and I need to feed the cat. Don't worry, she'll remind me herself if I don't feed her, but let's set a timer. And then I can do, if it repeats, I can choose a time, and then I can save that. And that'll show up as a reminder here per day. It'll show up at the top. So you could also do it through an event if you wanted to, but there's just ways you can set a reminder or a task to do at a certain time. So that was set to all day, but if I want to remind myself that, let's see, 5:10 today, there's a reminder, it'll show up in a different color. And you can mark it as complete. And if you don't actually mark them as complete, it carries it down the line with you. So you'll see I have these reminders that I haven't acknowledged from all over the days before. And it just pops up at the top of my calendar every day. Any questions about that?
Judy, I think you have your hand raised. Is that from a past question or do you have a new question?
Actually, I do have a new question, but I forgot to lower my hand. The new question is, how do you take that snapshot that you mentioned that, and then you could send in your email?
Yeah, you have to do that from the Google account online. And I can show that real quick. Let me share my desktop. Okay. So in here, and you could also see this is a good demonstration. I probably shouldn't be using my work account for this. Here's the same calendar synced. But then I can go into settings and I can see here's my work calendar. And if I do notification settings, I can change when this is. Where is that schedule? What? I may have moved it around. That is weird.
Is it?
Oh, here we go. Yeah, so it's other notifications down here. So I have this daily agenda set, and so I get an email, or I can get none. Is where that is for this specific calendar. So I can get an email anytime these events happen. Like let's say someone changes an event, I get an email notification. Or if when someone RSVPs, right? So I set a meeting with a group of my team, and I want to know who's RSVP'd in an email. I get that here, to event responses. And this is that daily agenda that I get every morning. It's in my inbox. I think it sends around like 3 or 4 a.m. And then it's just as an email that's there, and I can view it as a text file.
Does it, and it sends to your work email?
Yeah, it sends to whatever email you have the calendar for. So if I was to do this set for my personal calendar, it would send to that email. And you can see the different calendars that I have here. So here's my birthday calendar, for example. And you can, yeah.
Yeah, and if you guys are trying to coordinate with families or friends or anything like that, you can actually have shared calendars. So like at Next Village, the staff has a shared calendar that's all of our events. And that way anyone can add to that calendar once you have permission to. So if you wanted to, say, schedule a family Zoom call to catch up, you could schedule that event on the shared calendar, and that way everyone gets a notification and it's on everyone's calendars. So that's
If
like,
you have an iCalendar, don't you, you have to worry about whether everyone in your family has an iPhone though, right? I mean,
I'm sorry.
iCalendar.
Say that again.
oh, like if you invite someone to an event on iCal, they have to also have an iPhone.
Is that true?
I don't-
I don't think so. It's tied to an email.
Oh, okay.
So whatever email you invite it to will get that notification on their email.
Okay, it just might not go on their calendar.
Correct, but they should still get an email notification.
Thank you for viewing this Next Village video recording. We hope you enjoyed it. Please help us spread the word and tell friends and neighbors about Next Village events and services for seniors and adults with disabilities in San Francisco. Visit our website to learn more about our vibrant, growing network, as well as to view our calendar of upcoming Zoom and in-person events and activities in San Francisco. Our website is nextvillagesf.org. Contact us to join our email list to learn about events and resources for seniors in San Francisco. And subscribe to the Next Village YouTube channel by clicking the button below.